Hey there paper geeks and glitter nerds, it's another crazy geek crafter. It's spring and that means confirmations, at least in my country. So let's make one for Simon. Now I have the keywords computers, football, and of course it's a boy and he's getting confirmated, and I have his name. I don't know Simon that well, but you know, at least I remember I was happy getting a lot of cards when I got confirmated, so I tend to go the extra mile for these ones. I wrote out the layers that I could make. I wasn't sure if I was making 3 or 4, so I just wrote them out on my pad there before, so I knew how big I needed these pieces, which is of course white cardstock, and then there's a design cardstock whereon there's a repeating text saying confirmation in Danish, Norwegian and Swedish. And I figure out that this piece is not actually 20 centimeters, it was closer to 21, so just need to take up a bit, and now they fit. I did make a mock-up by hand while I was out of the house, so I knew how I was going to tackle this once I got home. It keeps the stress off for a little bit. Normally you add in some gold or silver for confirmations, mostly gold, but it does depend on the young person. And I had actually planned to make the top part black and the bottom layer gold, but I forgot in my haste, because these just fit perfectly on this piece of gold, matte gold cardstock, so that was a mistake, but it turns out quite nicely anyway. Since I've messed up, I decided to make the bottom part of the letters in the green color, the opposite green as the one I'm using for the bottom layer, or second to bottom layer, because there's also going to be the card layer on the very bottom. And it doesn't always work when you overfill your die cutting machine, so I had to go back and get one off. And with these ones it's important to get the direction of the paper right, because of the text. Not that you'll be able to read that much of it, but it will be there, and at least I notice if something is upside down. Now I did say the theme was both football and gaming, but I don't like mixing brands because they have different lines for their stamps. And the football one I have is from Panduro, and this computer is from Mama Elephant. So I opted to not put the football on this. Later I did figure I could actually have masked off all the screens and put a football on it, but I didn't. But I could. I also had the thought to stamp the football in black on the green layer, the second to last layer, but I didn't think it would be actually visible what it was, so I opted not to do it. I use VersaFine for stamping these out. It's a repeat pattern, I'm not going to color it or anything, so I just use VersaFine because it is very nice to stamp with. I rarely use it because it is mostly for when you color in with the watercolors. Therefore I normally use something else because I prefer alcohol markers. As per usual, I do quite a few dry runs to keep track of my design to see if I'm getting where I want to go, and this is no exception. So with my computer and the internet, the lovely internet, I got this silhouette of a young man. That took a bit of a time because actually I think on silhouettes you can actually kind of see age. This guy here, he could be an adult, but he could also be a teenager like we're dealing with here. Maybe he's a bit too big, but at that age you prefer to look older than you are, right? But the silhouette I got off of Etsy from a shop called Noir SVGs. At least that's how I think you say it. He has quite a few nice things, but this was what I needed, so that's what I got. I cut out 4. I was testing out another design, one I did myself. It'll be in another video. So I could fit 4 of these on an A4 page, along with the other design I needed to print, or cut, of course. So I'm just gonna glue these together, get a very thick, sturdy embellishment for my card. To embellish my silhouette man here, I'm going to heat emboss him in clear heat embossing powder. I don't have black, otherwise I would have used that, since I'm actually going to have a few flakes of white mixed in with my embossing paper, embossing powder, and that's going to make some dots that I can't get rid of because I don't have a black embossing powder. But he did turn out nice. I like the shininess, and when you heat emboss several times on top of each other, you get this very, very nice finish on your cardstock. I do it quite often actually when I use my ScanNCut because it gives some nice edges to the cardstock, not unlike the ones you get when you die cut, this kind of rounded edge instead of a very straight edge. I don't know if you get what I'm saying, but that's how I feel. We've gotten around to the card base, and normally you would cut it out of an A4 piece of paper, but I didn't want to crawl down and find one, so I just used a 12 by 12 inch piece and cut it down to size. Doesn't matter much. I'll always find some use for pieces of white cardstock. I was hoping I could live with the discoloration on the silhouette, but seriously, it's on his face. That's not good. So I have to come up with some other plan to save him, and I have to figure out if I want a black background or a white background for this card, but I go with the black one. I think it makes him pop more, but that might just be me. I cut it 1 millimeter wider than I think I needed, glue it on, and then I'll adjust both the card base actually and the panel. Cut a little bit off of one side of the white and a little bit of the black on another. We're talking millimeters here, so it's really not that much. Now I can mount all my panels, and then I have to come up with a plan to save my silhouette. And the savior is enamel accent in black tie. It self-levels quite easily, and I just have to remember to pop the bubbles. That took some time, and it was kind of hard on the hand squeezing this much out of the bottle. It wasn't exactly a tiny embellishment, but I was using up quite a bit of the accent, so that's good. Then it doesn't go stale or anything or stiffens in the bottle. But he really got truly shiny black with this layer, and I think it actually helped for it to be on top of the embossing. It seemed to smooth out very nicely. I'm uncertain whether it would do the same on cardstock. Unfortunately, the bottle did have a tendency to make little splatters, so I'm going to have to do some dots on the background because I got some splatter on the background. I'm just going to fix that, make it round, and then do some more dots around. But that will actually make the card. You may not easily guess that this is a confirmation card, except for the size and the fact that the background says confirmation over and over again, if you can actually read it. But I guess putting the big cross on is not something I dare when I don't really know the recipient too well. Unfortunately, a lot of kids get confirmed even though they don't really believe in God. I know that's wrong, but it's a hard decision to make very early in life, whether it's a community you want to be actively part of, or inactively for that matter. So no crosses for this one, just to be on the safe side. But I do enjoy the card. I hope you did too. And until next time, I hope you'll be having a good day, evening, or night.